how do you see patronage in the United States changing now? I mean, you've been thinking a lot about setting up a new organization, Blade of Grass. So what do you have your eye on? What are you thinking about?
Well, one of the things that I'm interested in is the idea that patronage is very institutional, right? Like the MFAs are huge. Everybody's getting an MFA, right? And there's this, and MFAs are kind of almost this like there's an engine behind that, and there's a system. There are a lot of arts nonprofits in the city, and things are there, and collectors are tending to. It's interesting. When you start buying art with somebody, this is kind of a new thing for me. When you start buying art with somebody, you start having lots of discussions about what you're going to do with it once you bought it. Which, as somebody who came at this from making art, was really interesting. So I was just like, oh, well, of course, you just love it, right? Like, you know, and so, and it's very clear to me, and this is increasingly the case, that most art is made for an institutional environment. Most contemporary art, you know, it's made to be in a huge installation, you know, like kind of space. It's made for the rebels, you know. So the institutional quality of patronage is very interesting to me, and that's true on a lot of levels. Yeah, and that's true of the Blade of Grass. The Blade of Grass is an institution. It's yeah.
So Tom, as the head of an institution, do you have there it is. Do you have a difference of opinion?
Difference from?
Well, or I don't know if you care to respond is my question, really.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I am actually. Let me take a slightly different tack, which is something that, and I'm sort of looking at the people I'm sitting next to here in some of the discussions we're having, which is that there's patronage, but there's also guidance to patronage. And that's actually what all three of you now and then have spent the last 10 years doing. So there's this really important role that experts can play in tilting the needle towards a really valuable course within the patronage. So it's not just that there's a patron and there's an artist. There's also the sort of intermediary experts. And I'm a complete believer in expertise, even though I'm very, very community-oriented at museum. We were talking before about the idea that, you know, actually art world people are not very good at community outreach. I believe that community organizers should be on staffs at times. And if you haven't, you don't have the staff or the ability to hire a community organizer, go to community organizing school and learn about community organizing. If you want to do a facilities master plan at your museum, by all means, hire some experts to do it. And actually, so I just finished writing a book, which Ernesto is in, and he has done the most community-oriented, collective projects. But within that, I was just sort of looking at your interview. You're also a believer in expertise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a differentiation, and there's democratic principles of inclusion, which don't preclude expertise. So I think that the thing what I'm saying is that good patrons are patrons who listen to the experts. And this is the crazy, amazing thing about the Rubin Museum, is that no matter how crazy the Mr. Rubin is, and he's an amazing, wonderful, guy to talk to.
He's good crazy.
He's listened to people, and there's a kind of purity of that space that's almost unmatched somehow in other museums, because the patron had the ability somehow to listen to the experts.
But just to keep us like the ambiguous and then you come
just to
say this, that what we find is that the people who seek our advice are people who share our values. And so they then become our patrons as well. Yes. So we typically it's not the clerisy of Saudi Arabia that came for our advice. It's the most radical liberal force in that country, and typically that's actually the case almost everywhere that we work. So I think the rules of patronage actually still apply. We're just your humble servants to what the patron.
Right, but hold on a second, you're not the humble servants. You're acting as if you were. You're the humble servants who are.
Weren't we very humble when you were our patron?
I know. I think, okay, so they did our facilities master plan. You completely framed a set of questions that we didn't know we needed to ask. And then listened to our answers. And then interpreted our answers through all your years of expertise. And so I don't know, by no means do I mean, yes, you were playing that role. Whatever, let us hear what you have to say. It was a very democratic process with the staff. But we never, ever would have come to those conclusions. We're building exactly what they told us to build. This is not the architecture. This is the facilities master plan. So,
no, I was just going to mention the patronage of the ephemeral. Because I mean, you yourself have, the project you did with Riley, the Battle of Brooklyn, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Sorry. I love his work, or I think what you're doing right now with Tanya Rivera, and a kind of immigrant rights and so on mobile project. So there is also this patronage of the ephemeral that transcends the collectible collecting and archiving and all that means in so many ways. So I just wanted to mention that as yet another layer to add to this.
That's interesting to me because Choreographer was actually, kind of conceived as a way to patronize the kinds of art that you just can't collect. Right. That was the beginning of the conversation that eventually turned into Choreographer.
But isn't it also a way of bringing together people who did not think of themselves formally as patrons, who could not have been patrons, but are able to be patrons through your agency? No?
Maybe. Help me understand.
that's
I
very
think
good.
it's, well, right now, no. I mean, right now we have one. We're bringing lots of people. No, not yet. Maybe in the future. We'll hire.
Right now, it's mainly.
We have one
foundation.
foundation.
It's not a
Yeah,
micro.
foundation.
It's not a micro patronage site.
No,
in other words.
no.
But can you talk a little bit about technology and how technology is starting to, well, I shouldn't say starting to come into the conversation, that's ridiculous. Technology started to come into the conversation for me.
Well, of course, it's a tremendous change in music. The obvious thing, I think everybody knows that, the whole way in which a musician comes to the knowledge of the public has so radically changed, and the patronage base of the music industry has had to shift around quite dramatically. They're doing pretty well at being fast on their feet and moving in relation to technology, but the technology especially has just totally transformed the distribution and the relation between artists, patrons, and the public has been totally transformed in music, I think, more radically than any other art form.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm very interested in seeing with visual art. I mean, artists engaging in new distribution systems like subscriptions to a website, memberships, micropayments. Artists who are working on the internet are experimenting with all kinds of kooky little internet-based economic models that are really, really interesting.
Ernesto, how has the virtual public influenced you? Or has it, I should ask?
Before I answer that, I want to say that you mentioned something that could be a whole night discussion, which is educating patrons and how not only experts but museum directors and artists find themselves in that role of educating patrons, how important it is and what a tough job it is, especially to steer them away from the collectibles sometimes. I have 5 websites, which is not something easy to put together or keep, but what I'm very interested in the public and access, and in free access, 24/7 access. And that led me to begin to work with the websites and to, whenever I did a project, a major commission, instead of having a book saying, would you mind the product of this, the document of this being a website that stands on its own. That's not part of my website. That has a life of its own and remains a kind of body for this space, these people, this landscape. And so, and having launched that kind of concern that led me to websites, then all the variations of websites, blogs that when a project is generated, and I work a lot with silence, and but people want to know what the artist and the performers and the choreographer and all of those people are thinking in a project about silence. So you want to be generous, and so maybe the website that is documenting the process has a blog where all the thought is being written, even though it's not articulated by voice, so that there is silence, but there is thought. And then that blog is archived so that it doesn't become an ongoing Facebook, which is okay, but that's not the point of that project. It's a moment in time and a conversation about that place, those people, that landscape. So it's become very important. Internet as another dimension for the practice.
Is it a one-way where you're presenting it, or is it a conversation with your virtual audience?
It depends. I wish it was always a conversation with the audience. I'm always willing to do that, but it depends on budget. It depends on the kind of budget I'm given, but if I can, I always want to create a kind of open blog for the duration of the project where everyone participating at any level can enter, sign up, and be part of the conversation. Yeah.
Great. So I just want to talk a little bit about engaging communities. Tom, you had mentioned community participation, community organizers, and there are communities that continue to be excluded from the arts. I know that many of you in this very room are working on changing that. And I just wanted to hear from you a little bit about how you think this fits into the context of cultural change.
Well, I think the cultural change in general is not necessarily towards more inclusion, But, we're trying to battle against that. And so having community organizers on our staff, we have a policy where a lot of the programming we do is actually simply opening our doors and letting people do stuff in the museum. 40% of our public programs are not curated by anybody. They're community groups coming and using our facilities. Every Thursday night, there's something going on in the museum. Tonight's Thursday.
Oh my God, what are you doing here?
It's supposed to be about mixed discussion, which is true. So whatever, you have an Ecuadorian community group, you want to do something, you open the doors, so we introduce people to the museum, allow them into the museum on their terms first. And, if you want if you're interested in inclusion and participation, the worst word is outreach, right? Outreach. Outreach means they are out there and you are in here, right? So, by the way, this is in my bio. I say that very interpreted. So, outreach is engagement is what you're looking for, right? Community engagement, which is the equal, dialogue. And the thing is that when I say expertise, it's not that some people are expertise and some people aren't. It's what are you an expert in, right? So when you came to the Queens Museum, you interviewed our staff. Our staff is experts in public events, in education programs, in community, and whatever it is. But we're not experts in facility master planning. So we had to have the facility master planner collect that information, and everybody was happy to be consulted in what they're the expert in. So if you do a public art project in a community, the community is the expert in the community. They're not the experts in contemporary public art practices. So that's it, finding what it is that they're an expert in and making people understand that you value their expertise. So if anybody wants to hear about Tanya Vergara, how she stayed in Corona for a year,
But 20 years ago, I do not think we could have found a museum director, and certainly 30 or 40 years ago, we could not have found a museum director to come to a meeting like this and say that 40% of his programs are...
That's why there's an AMD that organization. this
Yeah.
organization.